Hello everyone, this is Shadow Dragon from the DCUO community, and I'm here in the completed Saving Justice alert because I just wanted to give a walkthrough without trying to do it in the heat of battle. I'm hoping it doesn't kick me out because I think there's a timer at least on some alerts where you can only stay in a little bit after you complete it. But anyway, this is where you start, and I'm mostly going to just go over the boss fights, because these are just ads in the hallways. Nothing too special there. Their first boss fight is pretty early in the game. You'll get a cutscene here. And this one actually isn't a boss fight. It's just a couple of hard ads, or a couple of ads with a lot of health. But typically walking through this one, you're going to be surrounded by four weaker ads initially. So what I always do is I'll go to the center, and of course I'm tanking. I'll just pull them all and then freeze them with a chronomitic emitter, so that way they're all bunched up in one spot for the DPS to kill. And after that wave, there's going to be a pause. I think you even drop out of combat for a few seconds, and then another 4 will surround you. I just do the same thing. And then in the middle of that fight, there's going to be a control panel here, and you'll have to interact with this console. Same thing on the other side, control panel here, and then there's a console here with a cog. From what I could tell. I'm not sure if it does more damage if you hit both of them, but anyway, this one will activate the generator on this side, the other one activates it on the opposite side. Yeah, after that wave you're going to get 2 shield soldiers who have higher health, and that's the quote-unquote boss, but I don't consider it a boss because it's too easy. So what the tank needs to do is pull both of those guys over to one of the generators, because once they're near here you can damage them. If you're over here, they're invincible. And one of the nice things about this room is you could pull the camera out of it, and this is really cool for the tank. I wish they would do this in more instances. And if devs happen to see this and taking note, I'm thinking about Ultimate Soldier, final fight. Camera would be nice if it went out into the forest while the tank was at the edge. But anyway, pretty cool here. You can see everything you're doing. And once you pull them here, the DPS are going to finish them off pretty quickly. On the off chance that you get into trouble and you have to solo this, what you do is you just pop a shield, hit the generator, go back here. And the only thing different you do in a solo version of this is after you pull the 2 shielded soldiers over, you just jump over them and you corner them here. Now, I don't do that if it's 4-player because I want to be here so that they're facing me. But if I'm by myself, I just want to corner them and then just finish them off. They don't do too much damage. A tank can take on the entire room. And the weird thing about this, and the reason why I don't consider this a boss fight, is because these 2 guys have really low defense. If you're soloing this as a tank, you don't even have to switch to DPS gear, and you can clear this fight pretty quickly. Okay, so once that's done, got more ads. You have to go down here still and stand in this spot so that this trap goes off. Otherwise, the rest of the room, the rest of the instance doesn't activate. I think this gets locked off until you do that. Okay, then you go down here. And then you have to interact with a couple of cogs here. I think it's this one. And actually it was this one first and then the other one. And then you're going to go back. Hopefully I don't get lost. Because if you're going to get lost, this is the place to do it. I think once I'm out, it's going to lock me out of the last room, but this is the more important fight anyway. So in this room, this is Ultra Humanite. You've got this console and this console. And either one of them switches like where the electric bolt is going to hit. I used to think this one controlled this side and the other one the opposite side, but it doesn't. It's completely random. Like sometimes you need to hit this one to control the other side. But what you do need to know is there's going to be arrows pointing to these holes here. And just again to start from the entry here. On the right side from the entry, if you see an arrow here, this is where Alan Scott is. If you see an arrow here, you're going to want to hit one of those cogs to redirect it from this to these two other ones that are empty. And again, starting from the entrance, if you go to the left, the middle one is the empty one on the left. You can see it's marked by this basket if you ever get disoriented. The two at the end are the two hawks. So if the arrow is pointing at these at the end, you're going to want to interact with the cogs. What I do is I try to cover everything just in case I'm with players who haven't been here before or who aren't used to it. I like these spot, like this spot here or this spot here, any of these 4 spots between the circles. I usually start here and I pull Ultra Humanite to this spot. Because from here, if I zoom all the way out, I can see all the arrows. Now, I guess depending on connection, like sometimes I don't see the arrows. I think it's because of lag. So that's kind of annoying, because sometimes you don't see them and then like the cog runs out. And then you pretty much have to take your chances. But generally, if I see the arrow, I can get to either console pretty quickly if no other player is there. And yeah, that's pretty much all you do against him. With Ultra Humanite, his heavy hit is the skull attack. Like, you'll see the skull, then you have a few seconds to block, and then he'll like pound his chest. The thing about that one is it doesn't look like a hit, but it's really dangerous. Like if you're in front of it, it's a pretty big conal, and it'll one-shot anyone but the tank. Like the tank will be able to take more hits, but for other roles, it's pretty much a one hit if you're not blocking. If he does if you see him do a roar, he's lungeable at that. So if you see him do that, definitely go for a lunge. The tank will see it best because he or she will be at melee range. Other times he'll charge and just knock you away. That doesn't do too much damage, but it'll disorient you. So make sure you know where you are at all times. If the group gets into trouble and you end up having to solo this, the only thing you do differently is you just do it from the middle. Because that way you're equal distance to both consoles. As a fire tank, like before the revamp, this one was really hard to solo. Like it depended on if your pet shield came up in time. Then you could get to the console. So you needed a lot of luck, as a fire tank at least. But after the revamp, like we have our fire shield, this fight became like much easier to solo. The ironic thing is, like, after you clear this boss fight, you come down here and then you free the prisoners. This is when you get the clear view of where everyone is. So like when you walk down here in the center one on this side, you'll see Alan Scott, and then the two hawks on either side here. If it's your first time in here, you could actually walk in here without starting the fight and look at all these cells from above. Like when we first got this content, I thought these 6 cells were completely random, like it would be different every time, but it's not. It's always the same. Like the 2 Hawks are always on this side, and then Alan Scott's always here. So yeah, those are all the details for this fight. I'm gonna check out the last room, but I kind of think it locks off after the cutscene. Yeah, it's closed off. But there's really nothing too special about that fight. It's just that there's Sturmdrang is the final boss here, and he has 2 skull attacks, and they're gonna alternate. Like he'll start first with the flamethrower that goes almost 360, and if you fight Krona in Owen Science Cells, it's pretty much that pattern but reskinned. So like he's gonna fire it. You want to go, and he's gonna go clockwise. So you're gonna kind of want to follow that, but you're gonna move along the spot where the beam isn't pointing to. And it doesn't do a full 360. It's maybe like a 270 or a little bit more than that. So there's gonna be a pretty big safe spot. But when he has that going, like you're gonna actually get, if you're close enough to him, you're gonna get burned in all directions, even if the beam isn't pointing at you. So that's kind of annoying from a messaging point of view. But I think that's meant to just, I guess, hit the tank. Because like no matter where you're tanking, when he starts it off, you're gonna get hit by it. The second skull attack is sometimes lungeable. Like you'll see the skull and then he'll do like the rocket launcher twice. But when he does that, if you're the tank, you're going to want to be mid-range, because there are going to be a bunch of bombs that come out and they're going to arc. Before the revamp, you had to be right on him to not get hit. But now you kind of get hit and juggled after the revamp. So after the revamp, I stay like a mid-range instead of being right up on him. Between those 2 attacks, he's either going to have like a channeled gun attack, or he's going to do like random rocket launches. And he's pretty lungeable when he does either of those. And there's also going to be a whole bunch of ads coming out. So if you're the controller, just freeze them, or if you're the tank, clip into chronometric emitter. And that's pretty much it for that fight. This final fight after the revamp got like pretty buffed as far as boss damage, because but before the revamp, I was able to solo this one easily, and now it's pretty hard. I'm not so sure I can. I haven't had the opportunity to solo this one, but based on the damage coming in, like sometimes if you get juggled by his bombs, it could be an instant knockout. So this one actually got harder after the revamp. Okay, well actually I'm glad this one kept me in. I thought it was going to kick me out, but I was glad I could stay in here and go over all of that. Anyway, good luck with saving Justice. If you have any other strategies, please share them in the comments below, because there are definitely multiple ways to do this. Alright, thanks for watching.